Although horse racing is best known as the sport of kings, it has sometimes been called the great irrelevance. And we in the county of Yorkshire have never really been able to understand that, because horse racing has been such a fundamental part of life here. And with 9 racecourses stretching from Doncaster in the south to Redcar in the north, from Catterick in the west to Beverley in the east, with Wetherby, Pontefract, Thirsk, Ripon and York all in between, plus 2 major racing training centres at Middleham and Moulton, some of the finest studs in the country, a world-class thoroughbred sales centre, the National Racing College, Jack Berry House and New Beginnings, Yorkshire provides a rich tapestry at all levels of the sport. 10 years ago, Go Racing in Yorkshire tested the theory that far from being a great irrelevance, racing was in fact one of the most important industries in Yorkshire. We engaged Sheffield Hallam University to conduct a study into the economic impact of the sport on life in Yorkshire. The results bore out the theory, and so, a decade on, with generous support from the Racing Foundation, we again engaged Sheffield Hallam University to discover whether the economic impact had changed. It has, and for the better. Today we launch the report, and I'm sure you will agree that the results are highly impressive. As it was a decade ago, the report was based on the previous year's activities, so this report is pre-COVID-19. Although I am delighted to say that Ian Wilson and David Leather, the principal authors of this report, have added a footnote assessing at this very early stage the effect of the pandemic, which gives a clear indication of the impact on the sport and the wider community in Yorkshire. You'll be hearing from the report's principal author, Ian Wilson, and also from John Sanderson, Chief Executive of International Racecourse Management, whose portfolio includes 4 of the Yorkshire racecourses, Catterick, Redcar, Thirsk and Wetherby. Also from leading Yorkshire trainer Ruth Carr, the Deputy Chair of the Northern Branch of the National Trainers Federation, and Will Milburn, a top point-to-point rider and a key member of staff at trainer Mark Walford's stable at Sheriff Hutton. But before we hear from them, I want to express my sincere thanks to the Racing Foundation for their generous funding of this report, and to Ian Wilson and all the team at Sheffield Hallam University for such a comprehensive report, and to everyone who gave their time and expertise to make this report possible.
It's long been known that Yorkshire and horse racing go hand in hand. The county was home to 2 of the 3 founding stallions of the modern thoroughbred industry. It is the location of 9 award-winning, iconic and varied racecourses, hosting races such as the St Leger, the Ebor and the Juddmonte International Stakes. In addition, the region contains hotbeds of successful training and hosts industry-leading education, support and health facilities, such as the National Horse Racing College, Racing Welfare and Jack Berry House. Our study has sought to establish the value of Yorkshire's horse racing industry to the economy and social fabric of the region. Following a detailed data collection, we found Yorkshire's racing industry has an impact of over £300 million to the economy in 2019, a significant increase of £38.6 million in real terms over 10 years, after adjusting for inflation. This includes £90.8 million, which is generated by the 9 racecourses. For example, through admissions, catering, betting, levy distributions, and hosting other events. In 2019, just under 1 million racegoers attended 174 fixtures in Yorkshire, with average attendances fully 35% higher than the national average, highlighting the popularity and esteem of the region's racing. As well as on-course expenditure, approximately £15 million in off-course expenditure is generated by racegoers and attendees at other events. This includes expenditure at local food outlets, bars, restaurants, hotels, and transport services, which see a significant boost on race and other event days. Elsewhere, £40.3 million is attributed to owners. The majority of this is in training costs. There are 87 licensed trainers in the region who collectively train more than 2,400 horses, 17% of the national total. The trainers in the region include 14 in the top 50 respective jump and flat trainers. A further 85.8 million is stimulated in the supply chains of the horse racing industry. These are businesses that are built up around the major racing centres to supply it with goods and services. These include event companies, horse care, maintenance, professional services, food production, and preparation businesses. As well as making a significant economic impact, the industry supports more than 3,600 full-time equivalent jobs directly and indirectly in the region, over 3/4 of which are in rural areas where it is often the main employer. This includes approximately 1,000 full-time equivalent stable jobs in training yards. Through the National Horse Racing College and charities such as Racing Welfare, the industry provides specialist support to those entering horse racing to be successful and happy in their work. Our study found that being a responsible citizen and employer is very important to the horse racing industry. As well as the support just mentioned to its employees, the racecourses themselves provide charitable benefits worth between £1.6 and £2 million per year. This is through fundraising activities on race days, providing community fundraising and events, and charity race days. For example, the Macmillan Race Day at York raised a record £660,000 in 2019. This is the biggest charity meet in Britain and has so far raised £8.8 million over 49 years for local good causes. Of course, these findings relate to activity in 2019. 2020 has been a very different year, with the COVID-19 pandemic drastically changing the outlook. In March 2020, the UK government implemented restrictions to limit the spread of the virus and help protect the NHS. These restrictions had the following implications on the industry. They reduced the number of fixtures taking place, preventing racegoers from attending fixtures, requiring racecourses to create COVID-secure environments, increasing costs to ensure social distancing and sanitation requirements, limiting the number and nature and scale of non-racing activities taking place at the racecourses, and limits on non-race day attendees. We have undertaken additional work with the 9 racecourses to assess the impact. This work suggests the value of the racecourses reduced by 72% in 2020, from £9.8 million to a likely £25.4 million in 2020. This is a significant reduction of £65.4 million. Unsurprisingly, it's the restrictions on attendees at race meets that has led to this significant reduction. In addition, reductions in off-course expenditure by attendees at race meets and other events are likely to have reduced by £49.4 million. It is therefore our estimate that COVID-19 is likely to reduce the economic impact of the horse racing industry in Yorkshire by £114.8 million this year. I hope you enjoy reading this report, which provides new light on the importance of Yorkshire's horse racing industry, specifically the value it generates through expenditure, jobs and charitable work.
On a race day, we employ quite a lot of people. I mean, the numbers vary from, on a quiet day, between 100 and 200 staff, covering ground staff, turnstile operators, throughout the whole gamut of controlling crowds, betting operators, treaders in on the course, and not to mention the caterers, because we have a local catering company based down the road in near Leeds that caters on 8 of the Yorkshire racecourses. They have 200 full-time staff and up to 1,000 casual staff on a busy day at, say, York. In 2019, the 9 Yorkshire racecourses contributed some £21 million in prize money. Extremely important statistic, because there are only 2 members of the community who really pay for racing. One member is the punter or the racegoer, same person, and the others are the owners. The rest of us all take a living out of it in one form or another. So without prize money, you don't have owners. Without owners paying for the horses, there are no trainers, and the whole economic cycle starts to break down. The prize money aspect's crucial because that is what attracts the horses. From the very top class racing that is put on at York and the St Ledger at Doncaster, down to the more competitive levels at some of the other tracks, but we're very proud of what we do. The horses bring the owners, the horses bring the people, and we therefore have to accommodate the people. So all racecourses in Yorkshire have invested not insignificant funds in their infrastructure in recent years, and it's a sort of constantly moving cycle. You cannot stand still. And one of the aspects that we've concentrated on of late has been the accommodation provided for owners and trainers. A number of racecourses have improved their facilities, and several of them have in Yorkshire, 3 at least, have won gold standard awards from the Racehorse Owners Association. During 2019, Yorkshire racecourses attracted over 930,000 racegoers. It's not unusual for us to be able to attract 1 million racegoers, and we're very proud of that sort of achievement, because we have an average attendance which is some 35% higher than the average attendance nationally. Obviously, we race 7 days a week these days, and there is a wide variety of race days, ranging from the festivals, York and Doncaster, the St Ledger Festival at Doncaster, the Ebor Festival at York. We have Sundays have developed very well as family days, very popular with the wider population. Saturdays tend to be the biggest attendance of the week, which is quite normal. So then we have theme days. One of the most popular of our theme days is Ladies' Day. Every racecourse has one. They've built up in popularity and attendance over a period of time. In Yorkshire, we have a special theme in that every racecourse stages a Ladies' Day, and the best dressed lady of each day goes to the final, and there's a massive prize and a lot of publicity, and everyone enjoys it. Now that's quite important, because there's a knock-on effect to all that, because the girls who go in for a Ladies' Days make a very big effort, and there's a beneficial effect on the local community wherever they come from, because they go and spend money on clothes, on hairdos, and shoes, and accessories, and all the things that ladies like to spend their money on. So it's one of the smaller, but still a beneficial impact on the local economy. Racecourses also support charity. We support charities. We support our own charities, racing charities, for the obvious reason. And we support charities that help the local community. And so here at Wetherby, we do a presentation to the Yorkshire Air Ambulance each year. Usually the money raised by one of the local point-to-points, which has been extremely successful. We also have a rather bizarre race called the Mascot Grand National, where people dress up in very funny costumes, and lots of them, and they come jumping up the straight here, but not over the big steeplechase fences, over some little special fences. And here at Wetherby, we run a day to benefit spinal injuries for many, many years, because sadly horses can be slightly dangerous, and every now and again, God forbid, but someone gets a bad spinal injury. So we've been very careful to support that as well. Yes, and then we come to the pandemic, COVID-19, sadly. In fact, Wetherby staged the last day's racing before the British Horse Racing Authority suspended racing on the 18th of March, and we didn't start again until the 1st of June. Since the 1st of June, we've been racing behind closed doors, which means that the horses and the jockeys and the trainers and the stable staff can all come, but only the essential workers were allowed at first. And then after some weeks, the government and the BHA agreed that owners could come back. But we have 2 specific zones, and there's no crossover. And the effect of that has been enormous, as you can imagine. First of all, all of us have lost days racing, some more than others, during the period from March through to the 1st of June. Since then, there's been a restricted list. We've got back to normal more since the 1st of September. But the impact on the people who work in racing has been colossal. There's been no catering So the catering staff and the part-time catering staff who all come racing have had no jobs. The number of people we require to manage a race meeting and generally control it and secure it has gone down. Our own staff on racecourses have had to be fortunately put on furlough, which has been, that has worked well for us, and we've been able to keep their jobs alive. The non-racing income, all the banqueting, the conferences, the exhibitions, the fairs, none of that has happened at all, and that has affected some racecourses rather more than others. The smaller racecourses have been able to survive better because we work off a much lower cost base than, say, York, who employ over 30 full-time staff and hundreds of people on race days, all of whom have suffered.
The report's a great insight into how much racing in Yorkshire puts into the local economy. There's over 3,600 people employed directly by racing in Yorkshire, and I'm very proud to be part of that. We employ all local staff. That's part of what we do. We'll employ people that haven't necessarily been in racing before, and we bring them up through the ranks and get them travelling up and down the country for us, some of them riding in races, representing us, from Scotland down south, and we're really pleased to support the local people. We're located between Thirsk and York. We've got a little market town at Easingwold right next door to us. We support, via the owners going to eat at the local pubs and stay in the hotels. We entertain owners at Christmas, and we buy sausages for hot dogs from the local butchers and, bread buns from the baker. And we like to hopefully put back into the economy what we can. We're very lucky here. We've got lots of equestrian suppliers close by. We all need kitting out with wet weather gear, sometimes sunshine gear as well, but mainly wellies and wet weather gear. With the village shop, everybody pops to the village shop for their lunch and that sort of thing. We've got the post offices, and hopefully we can support the local economy. Everything from the physio to the vets, the farrier, the feed merchants, everything comes from in a very small radius from round here, and we're proud to buy local and buy Yorkshire. So 17% of British racehorses are trained in Yorkshire. We've got lots and lots of trainers, over 80 I think, in our area. 2 major training centres in Malton and Midland. We've got a sales complex at Doncaster and the Racing College at Doncaster as well. There's lots going on in Yorkshire, 9 racecourses located here. We're an hour away from lots of different racecourses, which provides value for money for your owners because it costs less in transport, so we're ideally located. So we've used the Racing College at Doncaster to do things like get us all first aid trained, which is a really, really good talent to have amongst your staff and your horses. And we've also used them for work rider courses and secretarial courses. So it's, to have that facility locally is great. Racing is recognised for supporting the community and charitable projects. I was very lucky to be involved in the York Macmillan charity race a few years ago. It's a race day that's been going for years and years and years, raised hundreds of thousands. Something that everybody on the day gets involved in. I personally rode in the charity race and won, which was even better. And between me and my family, not just me and my own, we raised over 35,000 for that Macmillan charity race, with all sorts of things from bucket collections at the races, cake stands, all the usual stuff, fashion shows, quizzes. It's great to be involved in the local community, in the marketplace in Easingwold and that sort of thing. And racing does do the charity stuff very well and looks after its own very well. The COVID initially with lockdown and racing obviously shut down as well, we furloughed most of our staff and put our horses out of training and turned them out. 2 of us managed them, and because we used the furlough scheme, we could kind of pass on that saving to our owners to put them on reduced fees. Now we've got going again, the racing industry is functioning reasonably normal, the best we can do. it's hard for the owners. They're not getting the race day experience that they normally would. But as an industry, at least we are still going. The atmosphere at the races isn't what it was. It's in comparison to those big race days that we're all used to, and the crowds cheering as the horses turn for home. You know, that sort of atmosphere that gives you the hairs on your neck standing up. It's kind of gone, sadly, for the time being, but hopefully it'll be back next year.
Racing it takes up your whole day basically. You start in the morning, you work till lunch, and then in my case you'll go off, and maybe I go off and I ride pointers, or I do my own pointers as well, so I do that all afternoon, and then I come back in the evening as well. So then you're back sort of 3:30 till 5:30 doing evening stables as well. The people we work with, they're like your family. You're working with them all the time, so and you're happy to help each other out. You see each other all the time, and you get along with everyone you work with, and you sort of become very good friends and family. We're very lucky around here to have Jack Bray House, the rehabilitation centre in Malton. So I've been involved with Jack Bray House, not as much as some people, but I've had unfortunate to have several minor accidents, but nothing major. They've helped me with that, some tweaks here and tweaks there. Also, we go to circuit training on an evening, which is great for getting fit. Everybody goes there. There's point-to-point jockeys, flat jockeys, jump jockeys. We're very lucky as well. They put on social events for us. You know, there's quiz nights there, and it's not only just sort of for the racing community, but it's open to the general community as well. And we're very lucky to have something like this in the rural community. So the racing supports the local charities. We've organised several point-to-points which have been in aid of for charity. Most locally notable is the one at Sheriff Hutton, which is in aid of the Yorkshire Air Ambulance. We've raised over £100,000 for the Yorkshire Air Ambulance. The Yorkshire Air Ambulance is important because it's helped so many people around here. I could think of half a dozen people that I know and ride with and work with that it's helped. And the NHS has just been such a fantastic organisation this year, and we've needed them more than ever. And we wanted to give a bit back. The Racing Welfare Open Day on the Gallops, it's a great way for people to come and see and get involved in racing, especially with the yards. You can have a look around the yards, and people get to see sort of what's going on and how much work is involved, and how, you know, especially how well the horses are looked after. And the Open Day at the Gallops, it's great fun. There's always activities going on, especially the jockeys relay. Everybody knows somebody involved in that, and I think it really gets people together. Everybody loves to come and watch and see how everyone gets on. It's a great opportunity for the local community as well, because a lot of people might not see what happens behind closed doors, and it's great that people can sort of appreciate and understand what goes on, and people can help get involved as well. Racing Welfare are holding Facebook Live conversations, having Q&As with people in the industry. The National Racing College at Doncaster it's a great place for people to learn as well. I've done my Cat A there, Category A licence, so I can ride in amateur races under rules. I think we're really lucky to have the National Racing College in Yorkshire. It opens up the area to a lot more opportunities. COVID has affected us in certain ways. We still have to get up every morning. We still have to go to work. We still have to work as hard as we did before to look after the horses. But going to the races, it's not quite the same. There's not the same atmosphere there. It's not quite as enjoyable, and there's not as much social events going on at the moment. So it can be frustrating, but we all know that, you know, we've put all the hard work in. It'll come back, and we'll get back to normal eventually.